All right, welcome to Raising Funds for World Domination, Day 45. So here's the typical intro. If you haven't seen this before, take a look at it. I won't go over it again. Other than that, there's no new information. Today, we're going to continue with development of the block mining simulation game. I've been making decent progress on the substantial refactor of how everything is printed to the screen. So this is actually, I continued development a little bit last night and after the stream, and also today. I got through some of the really significant breaking changes, and actually the UI is currently a little bit broken. So let's see. Yeah, help menu doesn't work, and also, yeah, my tabbing's not selecting the right stuff. Yeah, it's not. Oops. Yeah. Anyway, so tonight I'm going to work on. It's unfortunately, I've made it very slow, but one of the things. Once I get it working again, then I'll start working on making it fast again. And theoretically, this should be able to make it much more fast than it was before. So let's bring the help menu back. Christopher says, good evening. How's it going? Rick Brown James says, good morning. It's almost, actually the sun just set here. We're in the opposite side of the world. All right, as you can see, it's incredibly slow. My inventory doesn't show up. If I do escape, everything disappears, and it doesn't come back. And it doesn't update when I move in the menu. So let's work on fixing this. Let's see. I figured out how to do that earlier, so that's because, oh yeah, I should make it, I think each one of these user interface frames will only have to use a subset of these screen layers and masks. Happy Stolzmonat Sun. Not sure what that is. Stolzmonat. Oops. Sorry. That looks like a German word. Monat. That's I learned a little bit of German. I forget what that word means. Minute or day? No, Tag. Tag is day. Counter initiative to the cultural Marxism, which is Pride Month. 3 years now. Okay, Monat is months. Okay. Yeah, I don't. I'm not. I don't really follow any of that stuff on either side of that argument. All I think about is block mining simulation games. Now, how do I do this without writing tons and tons of code? I could pass in this variable, but that's why I say efficient work, load splitting. It's an anti-LGBT thing. Honestly, I'm anti-parade. Period. I don't like parades. Christmas parades. Any parades that make noise. I'd support parades if they were very orderly, like if people would speak softly, and also if they didn't block traffic. Welcome early this time. Actually, I think I'm a little bit late. Let's see. I couldn't add this parameter, but then I have to maintain it. What does it do if I put this as null? All right, that's better. don't think we get parades. Quite the opposite. We stand for truth, reality. The end boss to our overlords. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything against people who want to live life their own way, but if people are blocking traffic of other people and making loud noises, that's not okay. So that can be deleted. I think you don't get the point. We overthrow the political tyranny for culture and tradition. I'm a fan of tradition. It's a whole month forced down our throats. Actually, I think in Canada, I think it's more like I don't even like know really when, like what the date of Pride Month is. Like I don't really follow, but I think it's a different date in Canada than it is in the U.S. So I think here in Canada we celebrate it for like all summer or something. I don't know. I think it's kind of cringe, but then I also think it's like people who want to do their own like counter parades. That's also cringe. I think people should just all go inside and have some tea and write some bash scripts. Casual Vimageware says, "Hello, robber. I'm not a robber. I obey the law." Politics hit everywhere. I just want to learn to code. Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing. Everything is political now. Everyone is becoming like atomized into smaller and smaller groups. You basically just create a vector of political issues, and then people just select random values for each political issue in that vector, and then assign themselves to that group. And then we all argue with each other instead of fixing the government. Just focusing on your own stuff. Nobody's coming to save you. Yeah, I think that's a good advice for people these days. Find some community and then form a community. Because the government's not going to help you. So I'm trying to figure out how to deal with. So I have two like screen layers basically. And not every frame writes to both of them. But for most of the frames, I want to automatically initialize it to have spaces. So that'll clear out the terminal. X11 or Wayland? Which one do you prefer? From what I understand, the new development is happening all on Wayland. So I guess as my understanding is, whether you like it or not, Wayland is the future. That's what I thought was happening. I don't know if there's any new development or bug fixes on X11 happening, but I could be wrong. I think you have your cake and eat it too with AI, coding assistance. Just can't get carried away with offloading it. Does that make sense? Yeah, I haven't really gotten into. I've been doing way more art generation with AI. I signed up to paid ChatGPT because the free one is way too slow, and I can only make like one image a day. And I've been working on a new video to follow my last one. I've been using AI image generation for that. Wayland works. It's really nice. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but the plan of like the community is to get off of X11 and go to Wayland, and then all new development is happening on Wayland, if I understand right. Have you heard of Diffusion B? I have not. All right, that'll work, I think. Locally ran video and pictures generator. Interesting. How are you going to dominate the world? If you check out my last long form video, I have some. I explained a bit more on that. So the plan is to start a brand new society up on an uninhabited island up in northern Arctic, and then we'll start with. I'm going to raise $12 billion through YouTube super chats. Then we'll start working on a deep water port up there. We'll build a brand new country, and we'll just fix all the problems in society, and we won't have any of the issues that we have down here in this old-fashioned society. It's molto bene. Interesting. Is it does it require like an account, Or is it a fully local thing? Sounds like a cult, no offense. I guess it would be similar to a cult, but in the same way that standard countries are kind of like cults. You gotta have like taxes and stuff and private property ownership and only 12 billion. Yep, I'm pretty close. I've raised a decent amount over the last 45 days, so there's a lot of evil in the world. That's true. I mean, I would say by population, the percentage is quite low. It's probably like a single-digit %, but that's more than enough. Free on the M1 Mac Mini. No accounts. Okay. I don't think it's a cult. I mean, starting a cult seems to be popular these days, but I don't think it's very sustainable. I think, decently smart, self-aware people are not going to get caught up in cults. How much have we raised till now? I think I'd have to go back and check, but it's probably on the order of about 1,000 or so. What are you doing now? Currently, I'm working on improvements to a terminal-based video game where you simulate the process of mining blocks. So it'll be broken right now, but it's a video game you play in the terminal, and you wander around an infinite procedurally generated universe, and you spam the M key to mine blocks of iron ore and resources and stuff. Going the cult route could be a good avenue for raising funds. Yeah, it is kind of surprising how effective cults are. Like even those weird ones like Scientology and stuff. It's kind of it's amazing that still exists. Cult usually leads to politics. Yeah, I mean they're similar. There's definitely political movements that resemble cults. All I can think of is that one cult leader who said God told him to have 5 wives. Yeah, that honestly that seems to be the end game for all cults. It seems like all the other stuff is just a ruse to get what people want in the bedroom. Yeah, that's because I never defined it or declared it. About calls on the Tesla dip from the little spat happening. So if those balloon, I can keep donating. The first billion will be the hardest. Yeah, it's always the first billion that's the hardest. Once you get that one, then The rest of them are just come one after another. Well, hopefully your stock trading strategy works out. That you can messing around with options, you can make a lot of money really fast, but you can also lose a lot of money really fast. Back in the day, I tried my hand at day trading for a while, and I spent enough time watching the market to come to the conclusion that it's like, I think it's possible to make money, but it's as a retail investor, it's very difficult. Like the reward is so huge that there's a lot of people competing with you for the same money. There's a finite amount of free money in the market, and one has to assume that there's someone much more much smarter, much more motivated, with much more resources and like better latency and stuff can go after that. Someone like who works at Goldman Sachs. And the other thing I think too is insider data. So if you are an exchange, so for example, actually you could probably even look into this with so I think there's some public discussion on this about Robinhood. I think they had a trading platform, and I think there was, I think within the industry it's kind of an open secret that these companies trade basically against their own clients. So, for example, if you're like buying and selling something, you can route the orders internally. So you can basically have like arbitrage conditions where you're making money off of the people, your own clients selling to each other. So instead of routing it to the exchange, you can route it internally. And then when you actually have, like for example, you have access to the order book, so you can look at people's stop losses and you can see where inventory is, and then you can calculate like, okay, if you can move the market like this many dollars, then you can trigger everyone's stop losses because you know literally where they are, and you can calculate how much stock inventory is there. You can move the market 1 or 2 cents in this direction to hit those stop losses and get the order, and then that can be matched with you can make a deal with another broker or something to say, okay, well, you want a certain amount of liquidity, a certain price, we'll give it to you. And there's, when you have access to all the internal order books, that gives you an incredible advantage. And so you have to realize you're competing with all that stuff. I think Japanese Jesus was also like that. Yeah, Japan apparently has a lot of cults. World domination. I do option spreads, which helps, but it's very difficult. I learned a bit about options, didn't dig too much. I concluded I should probably get a degree in software engineering and then make automated trading software first. The market is spastic and emotional, so there are opportunities. Yeah, some people do, there is a percentage of people that have an intuition that can, make some money at it. It's it's one of those games. I mean, it's a lot like entrepreneurship. If you can make it work and you make the money, then you seem like a genius. But then if you make one bad trade and you lose everything, then everyone will mock you and be like, "Oh, you suck. I knew that was going to happen. Like, you're just gambling." And then nobody will feel bad for you. Which is why if you do make a ton of money, then you can say it's all me. You don't have to give credit to anyone. Be a member of the Congress, instant millionaire. Oh yeah, that's a good point. It's funny how we just allow that to happen and don't question it. Like a digital gamble. I think it's not gambling. I think if you if you really want to be strategic about it, you have to think a lot about like the counterparty. So when you buy or sell something, you're buying or selling from someone else, and to make sense of the market, you have to think about what is their position in the market. Not everyone in the market is going in to try and make money. Some people are putting stuff up to mitigate risk, which makes sense. Like, for example, that's the definition of like the commodities market. Some people speculate in the commodities. Speculators participate in the commodity market for the chance of profit, and the actual commodity producers participate in the commodity market to mitigate and minimize risk. So the commodity producers are actually doing the opposite of gambling. But then I'd also argue that the people accepting that risk they can also be providing service, because technically there's like research on weather patterns and all kinds of analysis and stuff that you can do to. So it's possible that both parties can benefit from trading in the market. You have impressive insight on the stonks. Commendable. Yeah, I would say if you want to increase your knowledge and also potentially even convince yourself to not trade, if I were you, I'd look at do some Google search. I think there might be some public information on this about if you do a Google search for like conflicts of interest brokerage matching trades internally, and like read some stuff like that. I mean, there's probably like lots of stuff on YouTube now about people spilling the beans on how this stuff works. Because if you just think about if you're an exchange or if you're a brokerage, think about how much free money you could make if you just knew what everyone else's stop loss is. And I'm sure to some extent there's like limits on what they can legally do, but then even if I think there is stuff that they can do that's not moral but legal, and then there's other stuff that's illegal, but then they can just like do it anyway, or they can like skirt the rules and stuff. And if you want to be a master trader, it would benefit you to do some research on those things. Building a crypto MBV system. Why gamble when you can play the system with the atomicity of or guaranteed in-order execution? Yeah, that kind of stuff would be fun. Although I've had my fill of that stuff. It's too much. It's too much risk. Too much like regulatory risk. Like it doesn't intrinsically produce anything. And then even if you against all odds you do manage to make a bunch of money, you run the risk of like, I don't know, being investigated for tax issues or money compliance issues or legal issues. And then plus everyone wants to like hack your exchange and exchanges definitely play you. Yeah, I would imagine the cryptocurrencies ones are even worse. Cool, thank you. That makes sense. No problem. you hear about that one crypto bro's daughter who got almost kidnapped in broad daylight in France? Yeah, I have seen. There's a few people that have been assaulted in real life on the basis of some crypto ownership, which is kind of interesting, I guess. I don't know. There's lots of people that have like a lot, millions of dollars and stuff, and it seems like the cryptocurrency aspect seems to attract the worst of people. People bragging on Instagram with their supercars and luxury lifestyles. Yeah, I don't know. The cryptocurrency seems to attract more of that. How much fund you accumulated for world domination? I think maybe around $1,000 or so far. I'm not really a gambler. That's good. I heard the rent problem in Canada got solved. Not really. The market rate for rent, like they've been saying, like rents are going down. Rents went down like 5 or 6% or something. In some areas, like maybe it's down like 15% from the peak. But the thing is, it went up like 100% over this space of a few years. Like I have a rent-controlled apartment. My rent goes up every single year, the maximum. And I've only lived here actually now it's because maybe 8 years. And the amount I pay in rent is half of what the market rate is. The market rate here is $2,000, and I'm paying $1,100. Actually, it's $1,125 or something. I kind of fear what's actually gonna happen is it's gonna go down like a little bit, 10% or something, and then everyone's gonna be like, "Wow, this is great. We have no more rent problems forever," and then it's going to go up another 100% in the near future. Wow, that's slightly better. Interesting. do you think about the job market in Canada? Personally, I've not actually been like looking and applying. I have heard from someone who has been like, who is employed and is like looking. They've been putting out resumes for like over a year now, trying to get a better job, and it's they've gotten like a couple of interviews, but not actually anything. So it's been from them, they're not necessarily in tech, but it's been a struggle. In terms of like the consulting gigs and stuff like that, I would say the peak was like I actually did get inbound leads and stuff back when I was in 2014 to 16 when I first started my business. 2016 it seemed to kind of slow down, and then of course COVID broke everything, and then there was a bit of a surge in interest for that stuff when all the COVID money was flying. But then as that kind of died off, things are really dead now, and it seems like also the world has shifted a bit more. In terms of, I think we had some jobs reports come out in the last few days that we're starting to reach some like record levels of unemployment. It's nothing crazy, but they were saying it's some of the highest unemployment since like 2016 or something. I know private sector employment has been decreasing dramatically over the years, and slowly the entire workforce is being absorbed into the government, it seems. So new jobs that get created, everyone goes to the government, which is not great or sustainable. Oh yeah, and the other big story is immigration. We still have incredibly high immigration. So I think every jobs report that comes out, they'll like say we created X number of new jobs, but then they brought in like 3 times that for immigration. And they said they would lower immigration, but then they didn't. Let's see. So that fixed one thing. I find that I can build trust through my hardware repair business, and some business customers require consulting. I can charge accordingly. Yeah, that is, I think, a big aspect of, getting work and contracts and stuff. It's like, it's not necessarily to impress people that you have like amazing knowledge. It's to become a known evil as opposed to the unknown evil, like going from a cold lead. Like people would prefer to use like a family and like an incompetent family member or just like someone they went to high school with, over like an unknown professional. Winter of 2008 caused a lot of issues. Yeah, in Canada here, we never. That was mostly in the U.S. Part of the reason we're in a messed up situation is because in the U.S. there's the 2008 crash, but we didn't have that, so we just kept having prices go up, and then they just kept going up since then. They never go down. I was looking to go into CAF for cybersecurity, but I have to wait up to a year to get certified class. Seems very inefficient. Yeah, I was talking to someone today about someone was mentioning that it's possible to do to go the Canadian military route, but I'm curious. So I've heard bad things about how difficult it is to even join the Canadian military. I'm curious if you're gonna read Reddit comments on YouTube comments and stuff like that, but I wonder if anyone else's experience is different. Although it sounds like if you have to wait up to a year to get into a certified class. Why? I don't understand why. Like if they're crying saying they need people, why do they make people wait a year? ANPI says, "Hi boss, how's it going? Invade Poland when? When the time is right. I've always wanted to join the military." Yeah, I don't know. They say they're looking. I guess if you're in the U.S., I have no idea about the U.S. military, but I think they're. We got all kinds of wars going on, so presumably they're. Eventually, they'll start getting more efficient, bringing people in. Cybersecurity is a lot of fun. Learn Active Directory privilege escalation. Most companies with money use Microsoft products. Yeah, I guess if you can make the sales and get the money for that. Oh yeah, I was going to test the menu. Okay. I am not seeing updates. Interesting. Why does that not update? The future of war is cyber. I think part of it is, I've been thinking about it a lot, like watching the videos coming out of Ukraine and stuff, and all the drone warfare and stuff. My opinion now is that the future of warfare, I think people may have a mistaken idea that the future of war is going to shift from the battlefield to like people in front of computers and virtual reality and stuff. But I think it's worse than that. I think that in the future, the attack surface for everything is vastly expanded. Like the future of warfare is everything. Everything is going to be war. Economic warfare, drone warfare, cyber warfare, trench warfare. We still have trench warfare like today. And it's crazy because you can watch the videos online. Oh yeah, I've completely forgot. Bioengineered warfare. Imagine Java warfare, especially Java warfare. It's going to be the worst of all. And it's all going to be broadcast to social media. The battle of the JVMs. Which one will run out of memory first? Open source warfare? Yeah, that a perfect example is that, what was it, XZ? Yeah, the XZ exploit. A live streaming warfare. It's going to be people. It's going to be bots who will come into the chat and then like just pretend to be a person for a year, gain my trust, and be like, hey, why don't you add this line of code to your block mining game? It'll be a Trojan horse. C++ versus Rust warfare. That's a dangerous one. That could escalate into much wider regional warfare. Brain rot warfare. That's another one too. I mean, every time I go on, I go on Twitter to see like what's being posted there, to see the news, like what happened in the last hour, and there's tons of just like unintelligible. It's like it's hard to even understand what I'm looking at. Like some of it's, people post like a 10-year-old video of like a disaster from an earthquake and be like, this just happened 5 minutes ago. Deleted my last warfare because it's too dangerous. You gotta be careful. Yeah, TikTok is so strange. I posted one video. I think the first video I posted, you got like shadow banned and it got 0 views. And then the second video I posted got like 2.3 million views. And then the first one like kind of released and was able to get views. And then since then I've been posting my shorts, my Linux command line shorts. The last 2 shorts I posted, I don't know how they got, like, they get 0 views, and it says like content moderation, but there's no actual thing for me to look at. Super chat warfare, the best kind of warfare. Thank you very much, Game Dev Chat. Honorable Money sends a television warfare, I guess. Yeah, the last two TikToks I posted, they're not available yet. It says like, there's this new setting. It says like, check it for like appropriate content or whatever. And I just clicked that, and now the videos are there. They're not released, and it says within 24 hours, we'll let you know if it's okay to post it. And it's been sitting that way for like 2 weeks. And then when I go to like try to look at the video, it says the page doesn't exist. Rust is far off. C++. Bjorn hasn't stopped since he built C with classes in 1979. Been seeing a lot of Trump on Twitter. Yeah, whatever's trending in the news. All right, we're one step closer to restoring functionality. I think one pitfall you can fall into is actual educational, high quality content. Never gets good views. Most popular tech YouTubers do entertainment because of this. Fireship puts his actual education videos on a sex channel, for example. Yeah, it's I think in terms of there's like a if you keep following the like engagement pipeline, where it leads to is just like the most sensational content. And I think you have to anchor yourself to actually have some kind of, goal or purpose or thing where like an uncompromising value in terms of what you're producing. So I kind of accept that a lot of my videos will get less views, but I think they will better monetize with a certain select audience. For example, in this stream, some people said, "Oh, you should just play some video game or something," but I think having 24 people willing to watch some live streaming of code is, I think more. There is an audience out there. If everyone just did gaming content, that audience of 24 people would not be served by whatever they're getting out of this stream. Let's see. I saw LA smoking, putting fire to Waymo cars. Yeah, I saw something about that. Have you heard of the channel What is Politics? Maybe you can ask him about your recent rent situation. He's in Canada. He's a lawyer against bad landlords. Yeah, it's a possibility. There's I don't know. Half the cases, fortunately, half of the cases were dismissed. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to talk to some other people and stuff about it. But I watch videos that get very little views, but provide me with big high value knowledge. I think I was one who said you should play a game on stream. Yeah, I mean, technically I kind of do. I play my own game, but I figure there's lots of people playing mainstream games. Need people making more new games. Getting to talk to people with the same interests. That's what I get out of the stream. Yeah, I think yeah, I guess it's questionable if it would be the same thing if I was actually just playing video games. But I think probably the having code on screen at all times helps the set the mood and the aesthetic and the number of people that if people can come here and tolerate looking at code, then they're okay to stick around. But if they come and like code, I don't want to see that, and then they leave, that's probably a good thing. Let's see. Now I want to get the tab working. Oh, you know what it might be? Didn't mean every time. Yeah, I guess I could take breaks, but every day I take off from this. My goal is actually, I don't really plan to stream every day forever. I've been kind of just hoping to get the next push on this game idea, and then move on to make some other content. There's one streamer on Mighty who does coding live stream for 12 hours straight. It gets like 400 views average. 400, that's pretty good. Is he a famous programmer? For some reason, the next thing I want to work on is when I do tab, it's not changing the highlighted frame. So tab. Didn't select the frame. Tab again. Oh, it's because the yeah. I think it would be awesome to ask a friend if you can steal their Tesla for a video. It might be awesome, but I don't know. I don't think I have any friends with Teslas. And if I did, I don't know if I'd ask them to steal it for a video. Smoke speed on stream. That's C++ game engine programming. Yeah, I guess I could see how there would be a niche for that. I'm not, I don't partake in that though. Doing good with the streak. Better to stay consistent with shorter streams than burning out for a while, making 12-hour streams. Yeah, 12-hour streams are a lot of work. I guess if I just did those every day, I could probably I could see myself getting into that. Too bad about the landlord. I'm sure you have a lot of views for the end of for this saga. This content is pretty good too. I appreciate your attitude to never follow the money without your heart. Yeah, in my opinion, it's not necessarily totally just trying to be like, hey, pure of heart, but for every person who kind of sells their soul for money, there's a lot of people who try to sell their soul or like do something to, they pursue a get rich quick thing, and then it doesn't work. So like, what if you compromise on your values? You think, oh, I'll just do this this kind of bad thing, and just to make a bunch of money fast, and then you do it and it ruins your reputation, and then it doesn't make money. That's the worst position to be in. Being consistent is the most important things about content creation. Yeah, I think there's kind of like a moving average based filter in how a lot of the content, how YouTube promotes and recommends the channel. Must be jet set to do 12 hours straight. Yeah, I did like a 14-hour stream once. I mean, it's not too bad. The worst part is your voice. Start to lose your voice after a while. I mean, like a regular job. There's people that work regular jobs and do 16 hours a day. Used to stream on Twitch and would get maybe 5 concurrent. Then once I was doing a Minecraft server manager, just Minecraft being on the screen got me up to 60. Other projects, 3D modeling, never got that close. Yeah, there's infinite demand for Minecraft. Tokyo Spiff here in the UK. I'll have to check out that stream for research. If he's getting 400 concurrent viewers, he's doing better than me. All right, I have solved the issue with the menu. So I'm gonna have to kind of redo a lot of my UI improvements over time, but now that it's doing like difference-based calculations, I'll get everything working again, and then I think there's some stuff I can. Like, I think right now it's printing way more than it has to. So I'll fix that. Gets like 30k views on a stream. He's building an entire game engine from scratch using OpenGL and Vulkan. 30k views on the streams. Wow. That's not quite right, but it's if you've been following for a while, you will notice that when I scroll up and scroll down, it's smooth. It's not flashing every single frame. And then when I tab between things, it doesn't flash the whole screen every time. That is due to more efficient buffering. I just need to make this smarter to calculate differences. I think my ISP business will be the first 420 friendly ISP in the world. I don't know. I'm not really sure that 420 friendly and ISP are two things I really. It's not quite something I look for in my ISP. Just checked. Most viewed stream is 2.1 million. Wow. I actually turned monetization off all of my streams because they didn't really bring in that much anyway. Like it seems like memberships for a while were doing much better. Like memberships and super chats was like almost all of the revenue. So I figured the actual ad revenue it brings in is not much. And I've also heard that, like for example, some of the conversation, about like 420 stuff or any of the random political things people talk about. I have no control over what really someone talks about, so I don't want to get because like we have to declare that the content does not contain this and that. But the thing is, when I commit to that for monetization, I'm not actually able to commit to it. So I think if they deem you as if they deem your personal judgment as inaccurate, then I think that totally screws you for monetization in general. And again, that is also relevant because I wonder if that might make, like with the stream VOD, it might you might not get as many views if it's not monetized. So I'm not quite sure what the best solution would be. Because I've noticed for other people that do streaming, when they upload VODs, they'll usually have like when they clip it, they'll be careful to censor the chat. Because if the chat contains some bad word or something, then, a totally unrelated clip will get demonetized. Let's see. I see 420 ISP as intelligence filter. Swear words in videos get you demonetized. Yes, there's the policies change all the time, but I think there's a first 30 seconds or first 10 seconds or something like that if you swear or have a certain certain, I don't know, list of things in the first 30 seconds or something gets demonetized. And there's, I think, different tiers and categories, and there's like a spectrum of the degree to which you can get demonetized. I think they might even like kind of have a moving average filter for your channel or something, where maybe you have like one video where you're kind of do something you're not supposed to, then they don't really flag that. But if you have a pattern of certain type of content on your channel, then the whole channel will get and I think even if YouTube deems that they don't like you personally, or like if you get one channel demonetized and then it gets banned, then and you come back, then they'll like just kind of permaban and shadow ban. I mean, they could probably do like facial recognition on you and determine if you come back that way. People think weed is a dumb people vice. It depends. I know people who are both dumb and very intelligent who partake. Let's see. Well, let's do. Let's see how it responds to resize events. Yeah, I said before, people seem to want to bring the topic of the conversation back to weed over and over again, and I'd prefer to not. I don't partake, and personally, I don't. It's not something I care about. So, if people mention it once or twice, that's fine. But I'd prefer no protracted discussions on weed. It has nothing to do with anything on my channel. And then when people come in here and see it, they'll be like, oh, this is a channel for stoners. Okay, resize events. Okay, that's broken. That's not good. That's kind of weird. These screen update bugs are so annoying. Too much propaganda out there these days. Propaganda's so effective, though. It's good for business. How to reliably check the current session is X11 or Wayland? That's something I would Google, but I think there's probably you can probably if you check I can probably just do it if you proc oh, I'm on a remote machine. I don't know what process you'd ideally pick, but probably like gnome session binary, maybe. This has some stuff about X11. Actually, I don't even know. Like, I know there's like they're two separate things, but there's like some crossover, and there's like an X11 Wayland bridge or something. But you might be able to check some of these variables that are in like get the process ID, and then check the environment variables, and you might be able to figure it out from that. Like there's what was it? Maybe grep-z. Yeah, what are these variables? In that, maybe there might be something. Check for like stuff like this. XDD session type. Anyway. Okay, I already said that. If you switch from Wayland to X11 and vice versa, it doesn't update the variable unless you reboot the whole system. So based, and to tie together what I just showed, what you might be able to do, so that's probably, if you switch from Wayland to X11, I don't know what like process or subsystem it would be that you need to check. So if you're just checking it in the terminal, if you're just doing like echo that variable, that would be from like GNOME terminal or whatever's probably whatever parent process spawns the terminals probably isn't getting rebooted by whatever, if you're changing it at runtime. But if you figure out the process ID of whatever other system exists that is changing, and then you do what I just did there, do read proc envir proc ID and then environment variable. So what you could do is just like, I don't know what you do to switch from X11 to Wayland, but you could just do that process and then checks, look for something, I don't know whether it's like dbus or some session manager or whatever, see what process ID changes, and then check for that, probably that variable, XDG session type, for that process ID that's getting rebooted. I got Twitch in one of the tags. It's the last part of my username. Leaving it that, so you'll know where you can go for such topics. Don't ask about English because it took me 5 minutes to type above. I still forgot the word. A word or two. Yeah, if it's not changing, my guess is it's probably inheriting that variable from whatever parent process spawns the whatever thing you're getting that variable from. Let's see. So I guess what I really want . Oh yeah, it was in the midst. People say the first thing they learn is Hello World in Python, right? The first thing they learn is Hello World in Python. I guess. Depends on the person. First thing I learned was Mama. I don't know. We're still talking about programming. Roman Zendrick says hi. How's it going? We're just working on the terminal block mining game tonight. Trying to refactor some of the user interface. And I think I might launch this with the debugger. You really planning for world domination? Yep. Once I get the funding, I just need someone to super chat me $12 billion so I can start working on a new deep water port, start building my own country. My first thing in Python was go F yourself. All right. I learned Hello World in MIPS. Taught me a lot. I remember doing MIPS. MIPS was fun. We did I don't know if it was real MIPS or not. It was like a very restricted assembly language that we called MIPS in my compilers course. How much do you think it will take? How much do you think it will take to end the debt in America? It depends what you mean by how much. Like how much money, or how much like political willpower? Because they could get out of debt if they, passed budgets and stuff. If they balance budgets for a while, they can outgrow the debt. But there's also lots to say about the bond market and the state of the currency and macroeconomic discussions. Can't tell me Hello World isn't overrated. I've no strong opinion on that subject. right, let's Google something. Spent a lot of time today on trying to use my Woodpecker CL. My recommendation: stay away from Woodpecker CL. CI, continuous integration, maybe. Whoa. Unsatisfied link error. Hack North Korean nukes for world domination. That's one option, but I don't know. I don't think that's the next step. Only about 37 trillion to pay off, according to U.S. debt clock. Only 108 per American alive today. Honestly, for everything I've read, I think one of the best things that the U.S. could do is just like they could if they can improve the expectations of their future prospects for like prosperity and growth, because ultimately the bond market is what ended up deciding like how much interest you're going to pay. And when the bond market allows you to go into debt for very cheap, it makes it so that the stated the other way, if people lose faith in the U.S.'s ability to pay back all that debt, what'll happen is the bond market will price the debt much more expensive. So then to continue to fund deficits, you have to, instead of funding it like a few percent, now you're going to pay like 20% interest. And if you have to, and especially when the debt rolls over, because they don't pay it off, they just keep keep going. So when it's like 30-year debt, that doesn't roll over every day. But when you have a 30-year debt, like today, what's 2025. So if 30-year debt, like treasuries or whatever that were issued in like 1995, 30 years, when those roll over and they have to refinance them, whatever the interest rate in 1995 was, if that's a few percent, and now it's like 20% or something, then the prospects of paying that back, like you can continually push it off into the future if the bond market thinks the chance of default is low. But then once the bond markets starts to say like, oh, this society is cooked, then immediately the implied long-term interest rate and everything goes way higher. So it has this they call it the debt spiral for a reason, because it'll spiral out of control. Interesting. The inventory is not updating. I guess that makes sense. I probably don't have an event for that. Let's see. When you're coding, I'm coding a terminal-based video game where you simulate the process of mining blocks of iron ore and other metals. So this might be the issue. Would you say Java is a good language to learn? So far I've programmed MIPC, Rust, and TypeScript. Yeah, I like Java in terms of like if your objective is to make money and to write in a language that lots of other people know. Like if you write in a more esoteric language like Haskell or something, the number of other people who know that and are super competent in it is much smaller than something like Java. So for to be useful in the workforce, Java makes sense. It depends what your objectives are, though. You might want to be if you want to be more kind of counterculture or something, you might learn the most bizarre language that not many people know. Yeah, personally, I think also Java, I like it too because it's like I consider it like enterprise scale friendly. Like there's a lot of there are a few weird things, a number of which I think are more related to the fact that Java aims to be portable. So there's certain features that they're like operating system features that I don't think it does. It does not abstract over them well. But with other languages, like for example in Python, if I needed some kind of like authentication or hash function or just some kind of parse something where it just needs to work, there's a higher chance with a language like Python that like the standard library for it or like the standard way of doing it has bugs in it, and I find like if you need to support deserialization for some like OAuth token or something like that, if someone has written a Java implementation for it, or in a lot more of that stuff I find is like message digest algorithms are baked in to the language, and there's just like way better support for that stuff. And usually when there is a library for it, I find it usually actually works. It doesn't have like weird bugs. And I find because the more of the audience for Python is more like younger and more amateur, like these are just throwaway projects, I find that if there is a serious bug in the implementation of like some hash function or authentication or something in a language like Python, if you complain about it, people will be like, what's the problem? Like, it's not a big deal. Whereas in Java, for enterprise software or something, if you really rely on some process to work and it doesn't work, people are going to be really angry. Looks like you're doing functional programming style. I programmed for 2 decades. Now doing a proper education. What's your thoughts on OOP, object-oriented programming. I think it makes sense. I mean, I do find it pretty convenient to just package up data and functions together. People complain about it if you start like referencing stuff very deeply nested. But if I think if you structure the application, it can work pretty well. But I mean, the worst application would be like if you just make every single thing public, and you're basically just like randomly mishmashing. Like a bad way to program is to make every variable global, and a bad way to do object-oriented programming is to just have one class and just have have like 5,000 different variables in one class. And then it basically you just have globals again. What is a keylogger used for? I know it's illegal. A keylogger, people use keyloggers to just do what it says. They log whatever keys. I don't know if I'm not sure if a keylogger is specifically illegal. I mean, you can just on Linux, you could just you could do a sudo command and then like read from what would be like dev input. There's like a device you can just read from and just pipe it to a file, and that would be a keylogger. It would just be like one command. And I think the illegal part would be like what you do with it and why you do that and how you access the person's system. I can argue Python could be better because you already know a language that falls into the category of Java-like language. Yeah, I guess if that makes sense. I think he's saying because you know C and Rust. So I guess it depends on your goal. I would say learn things strategically. There's an infinite number of things that you can waste your time learning. Like there's 10 billion different languages that I'm never going to learn. So I guess you could focus on like, why are you doing this? Is it for personal stuff? Is it for a job? And that kind of narrow down the use case for what you want to accomplish. And then from that, you can pick a language. Maybe you want to double down on learning, one of the existing ones even more, or maybe you want to broaden your horizons. There was low-level language. Then GC languages with lots of optimization, like Java, Go, TypeScript. Then there was dynamically typed languages like Python. I know they're not, but I know you can use them for crime. Well, yeah, obviously if you log someone's keys and get their passwords, every application that runs on XLM is a keylogger. Yeah, that makes sense. Isn't Python easy to fix using an IDE? Maybe. It depends what the program is. For personal reasons, trying to broaden horizons. If you want to go like a language that I don't know anything about, but was always kind of impressed me and I thought this would be good, would be a language like Haskell. And then another language. So I actually never learned Lisp. I used instead I used Scheme. I was forced to do a course on Scheme, and I hated it at first, but eventually, like I remember spending hours and hours on these assignments to reverse the order of a list or something using Scheme, and that was so difficult. And I would spend like hours and hours writing, like 30 lines of code, and then it wouldn't work. And then at the end of it, I would figure it out. And the solution would be like one line of code. And it would just take hours and hours to get one line of code written. And that process, like, fundamentally changed my brain to think about, how to do things in a functional way. But from what I understand, Scheme is similar to Lisp. So, but I think Scheme is kind of more. I don't think it's as popular. Lisp is maybe more portable, but some kind of like functional language that forces you to think very functionally on things. What's happening here? I am currently trying to debug an issue with my terminal-based video game. It's getting, it's not redrawing the screen. I should maybe fix this. It's not telling me what the class is. Might like Haskell coming from Rust. In fact, Rust and Haskell have big overlap. Yeah, I've never actually I'm not cool enough to admit that I've ever programmed Haskell, but it's one of those languages that it's always been on my to-do list to learn. And there's a number of features in it that if I had time to waste, I would maybe learn. Does GNOME file picker have thumbnails yet? I'm not sure. Is there any well-known software that is written in a functional language? This probably is. I think, if I remember correctly, the Hacker News website was written in Lisp or something like that. Well, check it out. Thanks. Yeah, Haskell's a decent candidate. What would be some other ones? Yeah, Haskell's I guess the more theoretical one. If you're looking for more like practical, if you want to broaden your horizons from a work perspective, I guess there's other languages like old school JavaScript is also good. No, version 44 has it. Interesting. I guess there was finally a use case. XDG Ninja written using Haskell. Interesting. I invoke revalidate and repaint after resize to refresh. Are you talking about my application? I don't think that'll apply to what I'm working on. What would be the best language for embedding a camera? Best language for embedding a camera in HTML. You mean like a video in HTML? Or I guess there's probably some like I don't know. I know with the latest like WebRTC and stuff, there's all kinds of APIs I actually don't know much about that, but there's probably some APIs for accessing. Well, I know it would have to be because Zoom applications like Zoom access your camera. I actually don't know what. It's probably an API. So I guess probably JavaScript. If you search for like a JavaScript API for accessing webcam, there's probably some info out there. I thought that said do Bork. Almost. What is this? Communist editor? Community edition. Where did Vim go? I'm using this for the debugger. I still got Vim in the other tab, or in the other window. I think Haskell is not as popular as, but F#, Elixir, and Gleam are more oriented toward both theory and production code. That's interesting. There's so many languages. I've never heard of F#. Maybe I've heard of Elixir. Never heard of Gleam. Don't APIs reach out to a server? No, API just means application programming interface. So a server could host an API, but an API is just a name for any kind of software interface that other piece of software could call, which could be remote, could be local. Let's see, what was I going to do? Let me think. I lost my train of thought. Oh, I should probably improve this debugger. Because I would like to know what frame here is actually talking to. The restaurant, you don't use terminal. Terminal uses you. I guess that makes sense. Great to know. I want to do facial recognition to wing out predators. Well, you brought up that topic before, but like I said, it sounds like what you're proposing, word for word, it's going to be illegal. So, I do not encourage you to engage in illegal activity. And if you want to pursue a career in that kind of, what you're effectively trying to do is like law enforcement stuff, you should pursue that through the proper methods. So I think what I'll do don't private companies like that exist? Yeah, but they do. They get like warrants and stuff, and they're not just like, unless you're like part of a nation state and you have the backing of the military and government, you don't just go like hacking into random stuff. You can hack your own machines. It's the best way to learn. Not end up on a watch list. I mean, the other aspect of like what you're proposing, the type of person you're proposing to go after, that stuff has to go through like proper due process, and there has to be like, evidence in court cases and stuff, and because if you end up botching a case or damaging evidence, then the perpetrator can legally get away with it. Megahawk says loop. Loop what though? Oh, I think it was in block thread. Got a Starlink for practicing remote attacks from my home internet or the other way around. I don't know what you're proposing there, but if you're actually attacking machines that you don't own, then and a Starlink is not going to protect you against. It's not really going to provide much more protection than a regular internet traffic or a regular internet connection. And then if it's multiple routers and hotspot devices, best way to learn. But ports and stuff, own the machines on both ends. That's good. No criminal activity allowed here. I think in the previous Java version, this worked to do what I want. That's why it's changing in the debugger. That's how you learn over internet attacks. Local network attacks is one thing. But if a target is somewhere else, yeah, I guess I didn't quite see the significance of Starlink versus just a regular residential network. Because a LAN is definitely, of course, different. Have to deal with port forwarding, other BS limitations. Yeah, I'm not sure how Starlink, like what kind of routing tables and DNS and all that kind of stuff it uses, but I would assume most of what you could learn through a Starlink connection, most of the attacks you could learn over a Starlink connection would be the same as what you'd learn over a regular like cable internet or something. But I don't know, maybe there's something specific to Starlink, how its routing table, and I'm sure there would be differences. Probably every ISP has it's going to be a different flavor of like port forwarding and IPv6, and got to go to port forwarding, defense part down. Yeah, they have different settings for firewalls and services available, and when you write your ISP, you'll learn about attacks very quickly. What do you think about the Starship chopstick catch? It's very impressive. I'm glad to see them making progress on that whole thing. Hey, I believe that Japan's moon landing failed. I thought I heard it was a success at first. Oh, okay. Was that a recent thing? I didn't see that in the news. Japan's moon landing failed. Japan's fallen off. I would expect Japan to their industry is top notch. They also did that crazy elaborate comet debris recovery mission that was very impressive. In a 2012 sysadmin. Not sure what that refers to. Just use local VLANs. Worked well during tests. Going to run an ISP on a private network. I think you may underestimate how much work it is to run an ISP. Have you met fans on the outside yet? I mean, like in just going out? I've been working almost all the time for the last year, so I honestly don't really go anywhere or do much. And everyone in this building is very old. I think a lot of them don't even like interact with social media. All right, let's think about this. It is forgetting the type of class, which is not good. So this thing knows what type it is. Oh, that's why. All right, I'll have to update this. Okay, yeah, I see why that doesn't work anymore. So it's not. This is basically something that's when I scroll down in the debug menu, I want to be able to actually identify which thread it's talking about. So if I yeah, see, these ones just a UI work item, but I want to know what actual user interface thing, and I can't figure it out from this. And I think that that used to work because I specified explicitly the type of work item, but I refactored it and I made that break. So I will have to change that. /24 runs about 8K. Regional internet registries allocate blocks to ISPs. ISPs then assign those addresses to customers. Your upstream provider might part with a partial public IP range. Your ISP customers are really just customers of your LAN, which won't work for a lot of software. Interesting. Outside my field of expertise, I have a decent. I can kind of manage my way to stumble my way through subnets and routing tables and stuff to get my AWS thing set up, but I have no experience in setting up an ISP. Do you think DevOps is a good career choice right now, even if AI would come? It probably is, because there's always going to be stuff that the AI can't figure out. Yeah, honestly, like DevOps is probably one of the last things that would be automated, because there will always be like, the crap that falls to the bottom, and it's going to get like AI can fix the like some DevOps problems will be automatable with AI, but then what about the 50% of them that aren't? And a bunch of them, probably the AI in the future will probably like maybe make it easier to deal with them. Like, for example, some DevOps problems might be some batch process fails, and you log onto the machine, and then you investigate, and you're like, why is this failing? And then you're like, oh, the disk is failing, and then you have to pick up a phone and call someone and be like, hey, the disk in the server is failing. And AI will not automate that process. And even if AI does automate it, the AI is just going to send you a report and say like, hey, you need to call someone to replace the disk. Trying to position myself in such a way that I will still be valuable when AI can't figure it out. Yeah, I think it's probably gonna be one of two extremes. Like I think either the AI wave we have right now, it's gonna kind of slow down in terms of what it's gonna do. Like in terms of like it will still get better, but we'll go through a period of like diminishing returns, or it's actually going to accelerate to like actual general AI, like to a point where it's it entirely eliminates the entire like social system, like we have these fundamental tenets of how our Western capitalist society operates. For example, intellectual property. The existence and ability to own intellectual property that is a fundamental underpinning of Western capitalist society. Like if you could not own intellectual property, like brand names or copy books and code and stuff like that, if we can't own that stuff and benefit from it, and anyone can just steal it without consequence, a huge amount of things will break. And so we're going to find out soon if this whole AI hype wave, like if the Copyright Office is just going to close and give up. If that happens, then I don't know, we may have to rethink like jobs entirely, jobs in school, and yeah, that'll be an interesting future. We'll see what happens. AI is trying to take over everything. Yeah, I think what's likely to happen is corporations are going to try and use AI to basically use it as like a justification. Like what you could do is say all they're going to try to take and put AI between every single human output ever, like in any context. Like one of the main things I keep thinking about is, with something like Microsoft Recall, in anything you do on a Microsoft laptop, what happens when they release a policy that says we can use anything you do on this computer as training data, and you have a lawyer working on a case that's like typing out legal arguments, and then it gets vacuumed up by the AI incorporated in the model, and then it's like that's immediately distributed to like the opposing lawyer as like an argument, because the AI it just immediately knows everything. Like, are we going to allow that to happen? I don't think we should, but I mean, theoretically, a thing like that could happen. But anyway, that's another protracted AI discussion. I think I'll probably leave it here for tonight. Made a couple. I didn't make too many improvements tonight, but identified how to fix those broken names. We raised a couple more dollars for the World Domination Fund. If AI is slowing down, can't we always say AGI is coming in 2 years forever? Like they say about fusion. I can't see an event where people say, okay, AI is slowing down. I think if it slows down, it's most likely going to be a constraint on like either data or power. So I've been using I was using Grok for AI image generation, and I tried ChatGPT the last couple of days because I'm working on a video idea that's going to involve it. And honestly, it is it's really good, but it's incredibly slow. And even though I'm paying money now for these AI for ChatGPT, I'll ask it to generate an image. It takes forever to generate, and then I have to like what it gives me is usually very good, but there's like one or two things that are a problem, and I'll say like, please make it this or that or whatever. So I'll have to like go through 10 revisions, and I still am hitting the like rate limiting. So ideally, there's like I would like to make like maybe 20 images. So it's probably going to take me like 20 days to make 20 images. When you would think like, oh, AI is automating this stuff and making it instant, but it still is like it's very time consuming to get the output you want out of the AI. That's with the image generation, and from what I've seen so far, that's also true of the code, where you can ask the AI to like, hey, fix this bug in the code, and then it fixes it, and then you're like, fix this other bug, and then it reintroduces the other bug, and you're just like the first like 90% is easy, but going the last 10%, you gotta like really grind at it, and it just takes forever. And to get that extra, full automation, it may require like, several orders of magnitude more data, and also power. And I would have to imagine if if I'm paying for this ChatGPT and it's slow, even with all the servers they have, it must be insanely expensive to generate this stuff. So maybe it's not even profitable because the compute power is so high. Well, anyway, like I said, I'll probably leave it there for tonight. I guess we'll be back tomorrow night. So see you guys then. Later.